Microphone on. New channel. Let's tell people stuff. All right, hello everyone in the internet land. Just wait for that cool time down. Let the tick away as tradition dictates. All right. All right. Let's see if we get. I've got a lot of screens open today because we're jumping. So let's see. Make sure no one is on the old live. Let me add and say that. All right. Excellent. Cool. All right. Welcome everyone. I'm the host. This is the Black Betterment Broadcast. This is the first time it's actually played and streamed on the dedicated Black Betterment channel, dedicated channel. Just so you know, this channel isn't really that new, if I'm being honest. It's actually as old as the show. However, I made it before the show started, and I was under the impression that you couldn't go live without a certain amount of followers. I think what actually is you can't go live. You can't go live on your phone without a certain amount of followers. Give me 5 seconds. My machine is going extremely fast. That means I've got too much software open. So let me just shut some of these Adobe softwares because they're just making my machine just go crazy. All right, excellent, cool. Wow, voila. Welcome all. Tell your friend to join the broadcast. So those who are new will go through the tradition. Let's see if my screen is actually working. Okay, there you go. Now let's see if I can add this to the stream. There you go. Yeah. So today is show 45. Let's make sure no one is on the old channel. Good. If they're on the old channel, tell them to jump across. I've actually got a decoy banner on the old channel telling people to come here, kind of like Exodus, you know, a black zit, whatever it's called. Right, excellent, fantastic. Anyway, so let's go through the culture. Voila. All right, so after much research, I've unfortunately concluded that currently Black people are collectively inadequate. Yes, it's most unfortunate, but we're here to do something about that. That's what we're here to do something about. So we always invite people to come to give the 10 pence piece, have their say. This is a community-based initiative as usual. And, you know, people have their opinions and we want to hear people's opinions because, you know, there is no I in team, all that stuff. Let me just turn that off. Sorry. Hold on. There you go. I'm sure they'll ring back again, ask me where is the show. Let me just say I'm live. Sorry, and the show's moved. This is what happens in the organization. All right, cool. They'll ring back. Let me just mute that so I don't get blown up. Anyway, there you go. Cool. Well done. Yeah. So 40 values to make sure we don't actually all disagree and have high anxiety language. So here's some of the things we want to practice as you know, just some kind of values. That is discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. These are very, very handy things that Black people can use when you are trying to help other Black people, other people of African descent. You know, we'll try and do that good stuff. They use this stuff, and you know, it should make stuff even more easier. That is the hope. That is the hope. So you know, let's go through. Also, if we could use more descriptive languages and not derogatory language, if possible. You know, here's some words that people tend to use when they're describing stuff. If we can use, if you can see your screen, if you can't, it's unfortunate for you. But the right hand of your screen is more the descriptive language that we might use that might make conversations a bit more easier. Left hand of the screen, let's use that more for you know, late night language and creative endeavors that you have to subscribe to, you know, listen to, but not when we're trying to be constructive, helping Black people. Because as you know, Black people are collectively inadequate, unfortunately. And some things really trigger them off. So we just try to, you know, have an equal playing ground because helping Black people is the key. You see, we're going to make that trendy. We're going to make that, you know, right now mistreating Black people is fun and cool. We're going to reverse that. We're going to make helping Black people fun and cool. That's what it's all about. All mercy. All right, cool. So what is Black Betterment? I hear no one say. Well, it's Black people helping Black people on Black issues for Betterment. You see, you'll be surprised at how little we do this, unfortunately. So the idea is to make this concept trendy. That's right. We're going to make this concept trendy. And how do we do that? Well, by making it a lifestyle. That's right. So Black Betterment is a lifestyle. So this actual broadcast is promoting the lifestyle of Black Betterment. That's what it is. And yeah, this is the technique. Let me just make sure people know. This is the technique. Okay, all right, cool. All right, sorry about that. Expecting guests. All right, cool. What was I saying? So yeah, so the idea is to make this Black Betterment a lifestyle. So that's why we need your help, the family out there in the internet land. We wanna make helping Black people a good feeling thing. Unfortunately, unfortunately, sometimes if you watch me debate live throughout the years, it could be an uphill challenge because somehow, self-determination has been demonized for some reason, marketing and these kinds of things. So, we want to change that. That's right. Let's just say hello to the family. Yep, hello to the family. Yep, there you go. Big up everyone here. Big up everyone here. Let's just push your names on the screen. This is the cool family. Always good to see you. Like I said, in these early days, these are the kings and queens and the fantastic people who are going to steer Black people in the right direction. You see, it starts small. But anyway, now we've looked at that fantastic word lifestyle, we're going to go through. So now, obviously, we're not going to play, we're not necessarily going to play anything, but we still have to read disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use of purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or purpose of use tips the balance of the fair use. So if we were to show any videos, just saying we're not doing it to try to make money or anything like that. We're just trying to educate Black people, that kind of scholarship reporting, that good stuff. So don't try to come for us and flag our channel, which they do all the time. Yeah, there you go. All right, so Black Betterment channel launch show. That's what it is. We're here. Better late than never. Never late. Better. Right. First show dedicated to the channel. Recap of what Black Betterment is and how best to use the channel to promote it. So what we're going to do is, I'll be very quick because obviously I like throwing out the link there so we can jump in. So bear with me. I'm just going to go through some quick recaps of things we've gone through. I think one thing I try to do is use symbols and words and lifestyles and shapes and those kind of stuff to help Black people help Black people. You see, because sometimes you might debate, you might get there, and you might have certain concept that makes things very challenging, and people constantly throwing things at you. And then unfortunately, as we've concluded, many unfortunate Black people have subservient chips in their brain. So when they try to do good stuff, people use certain kind of abracadabra words, and then it makes them go back to not helping Black people. So we definitely want to stop that. So hopefully we can have certain codes and ways of operating that makes it, a heightened chance of Black people being successful in fixing Black issues. That's right. So let's go through. So when we first started, many moons ago, we talk about this. This is like a fantasy football team, right? The concept was that Black. Let's imagine we had a team and it's called Black Country Rangers, right? Right, FC, whatever, right? And basically, these are, if you know football, these are people who are seen as quite talented. And imagine if they were all in one team playing together, right? Regardless of what league they were in, they probably would win most of the stuff, if not all of it, pretty much. Take a give. That's how skillful these individuals are on the field. And these are Black people. This is metaphors, whatever, right? Now, unfortunately, what we have today is we have all the best players, on the field, but not actually working in team. As you see, the goalkeepers trying to score goals, midfielders all over the shop. Other people just off the field to the fans. And this is from a symbolic, analogy kind of dynamic picture in your mind, symbol of what Black people are. So whenever you hear me say certain things in some people's heart, they start pounding, oh no, he's very harsh on Black people. I'm not saying that Black people are biologically this or biologically that or never do this. I'm saying that within the Black collective, there is amazing, fantastic, supernatural, super good, super all the supers skill. Unfortunately, when it comes to working as a team, there's some challenge there. So myself, and all the other veterans out there, we're here to help manage. We're to help Black people become team again. Team-based ideas. Individualism has been taught, and yes, being an individual in many aspects is fantastic. However, some people, there's a thin line between being greedy and, being, soloist and this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. So we want to really see that kind of thin line and help people understand the value of teamwork, you see? And unfortunately, when it comes to mistreating Black people, many non-Black people understand the value of teamwork when it comes to helping themselves and mistreating Black people, which is never nice. No, sir. All right, so this was the analogy that we did, the symbolic reference in first shows. And it just helps you when you're out there and you're trying to debate and talk and do good stuff. Think of this. So if you hear me say Black people are collectively inadequate, and find themselves in a collectively inferior position in life, don't think of Black people are terrible. Just think teamwork, not doing good. Lord of mercy. All right, cool. All right, that's good. What is this? Okay, so we'll come back to that. I don't know why that's so high up. All right, so another thing we moved on is it is challenging. You're gonna see scandal after scandal of many black people come out and they try to be either leaders, so-called leaders, or management, or influencers, and all this kind of stuff, right? And then, you know, certain people, they get sent by certain government agencies or certain ads, and they come to talk to you, and they want the black vote, they want the black pound, they want black people to do a certain thing. And once again, they understand the value of collective, because they want black people to do things collectively to benefit some kind of goal. And sometimes, you know, you have to practice discernment, and it's like, how do you practice discernment? It's very challenging at times to know how to actually practice discernment. So what I've put together is, in your mind, have a Black Betterment point system amongst people. And this was one early kind of symbolic representation of that. And, you know, I'll try to expand what it is. So, you know, on the screen at the moment, we have a guy called Jafari Kananga and a guy called Jack Oliver. And I've said that, look, you know, this Jafari brother, he owns his own business. That's good. Give him 15 points. Yeah. He owns his business. This is motivational, right? He trains black boys football skills. 9 points. Excellent. You know, he organizes Black History movie nights for black people. Yeah, 5 points. Maybe I should give that more, but well done. Yeah. Protest for black rights. 11 points. That's nice. Good stuff. He named his child the African name. Keep it real. 7 points. Wait. All right. And he married to a black woman. 17 points. Whoa. That's a good one. So, black man, if you want to get high credible points, marry a black woman, and vice versa. But let's focus on the men for now. All right. Cool. Now, on the other hand, we have Jack Oliver. Jack Oliver is trying to, you know, get black people to do certain stuff. He owns a stamp collecting business. Well done. 15 points for you, my friend. He trains people how to fish. That's good, but that's people. No points. Yeah, no black, because I'm a Black Betterment. There's black people helping black people on black issues. No points for that. Organized women rights debates. That's great for women. We love it. Hey, but women are everywhere. That's for everything. No points for that, but it's good in life. Kumbaya points, 10 out of 10. Protest for gay rights. Good for the gay people. Way, but no points for Black Betterment. Okay. Name the child an Albanian name. Great, beautiful sound name. No points for black people. All right. And he's married to a non-black woman. No points. So in all this area, he probably gets points in those areas. But when it comes to Black Betterment, no points. So when these two people come towards you, you always have to use discernment. Always. But right now, Jafari Kananga is looking like he's in a better position to help black people. Once again, practice discernment, because sometimes people might come and these are the things they do in order to get your vote. And, you know, they wear a kufi and then have an afro and, you know, all that good stuff, right? But I'm just saying that just on the surface, this is the thing. So that's what we tackled early on. And then also we were talking about collaborators and critics, you know. So for example, you know, we have Jafari and we have Jack. Now, Jafari is saying, black people, we must do better, right? Now, as we can see here, this man has 64 Black Betterment points. So when he says it, he is saying it on the same side of the street as the black people trying to help. Now, the critic, the black person who's doing his own thing, whatever, he says, black people must do better, right? See? Black people, you must do better. While a thing says, black people, we must do better. We, you, all that. So already, this is it. How collaborators versus critics. Understand the two. You know, this is quite helpful. We're learning. We move on. All right, voila. We're gonna go through this with the killer speed of a millipede. Right. Other thing we always talk about, and it help people have like symbols and things that can help them when they want to negotiate and talk about black ideas and Black Betterment, is the concept of templates. Me, Rap Raven, I don't care your life choices. Honestly, it's not for me to come and dictate who you marry, who you hire, where you shop, what you dress, what you name your kids, and all that good stuff. It's not really my business, to be fair. But what I can do is I can offer templates, meaning if black people want to progress, what shall we do? All right. So a template that is, you know, something that serves as a model for others to copy. So all I can say, and I always give the analogy of things like, you know, black people, you know, we're trying to have a collective industry market. We're trying to learn from each other. So there's certain kind of careers I can push forward. So I can say, you know, why don't we try to do coding? Why don't we try to be doctors? Why don't we try to be lawyers? Why don't we try to have farms and this kind of stuff, right? And then someone will go, oh, you know, what about if I want to work in the circus? What about if I want to be a clown? That's fine. That's fine. You can be a clown. However, it's not going to be a template. I'm not going to tell black people they need to be clowns. That's not going to work. So I'm not saying not to be clowns. I'm just saying that when it comes to Black Betterment, it isn't on the template for Betterment to be a clown. Although being a clown, you know, many people do it really well. Well done. All right, cool, fantastic. Move on. Now, more about tactics. You know, so we got tactical, tangible template, tactical, tangible templates. So we always try to make sure that the templates are tangible. That good stuff. Voila. Okay, we can move on. What is this? Health. Oh, this was something else. We can skip that. Voila. Can establish what is appropriate and appropriate media behavior. All right. Another thing we're talking about is, unfortunately, the most unfortunate, and it is something we're going to change. We have a lot of sports celebrities and musicians represent, the black, the black agenda and this kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that with other people groups, you tend to find people who are more dedicated to the skills they're doing. And, so we're saying if you are representing black people in a certain kind of way, you kind of want to make sure that the thing you're doing is appropriate. This is something that we try to push forward. So, that's what we try to do. Now, what we do, 2 reasons, social, okay. So another thing I would say is I'm going to be saying certain things, and other people are going to be saying certain things that maybe people should do less of or more of. And sometimes, people have all, disagreeing arguments and stuff. And it boils down to this, yeah? There's 2 reasons why you shouldn't do a certain thing. It's not nice, and it can be used to undermine black progress. Which one of those you want to take is up to you. Yeah? Whichever one is up to you, but this is how I recommend we talk, and I definitely talk. So if I say, look, don't jump on TV, effing and blinding, making fun of all other people groups and just throw in the chair, whatever, because it's not nice, and it can be used to undermine black progress. You see, whichever one of those 2 you want to use, that's fine. But this is the science, this is the psychology you're dealing with, right? So at a certain time, we have to show restraint when we're representing black people, Black Betterment, and because some of the things we're doing might not be nice, and it might undermine black progress. There you go. So that's a little word lingo you can have for yourself to help you progress. Lord of mercy. All right, things to stop. All right. So that, there's certain things. Every other week there's some new kind of scandal, and I won't bring any up now. But one thing, we want to be careful when we represent black people as managers and stuff. That sexual advancement, intoxication, and name calling. Try to minimize these if possible. They don't usually help. If try to not do those. These are things that usually sidetrack certain kind of stuff. Move on. All right. So another thing now, when we're going to be dealing with, and you're going to see me if you see me debating and stuff, a lot of people come up and some people say this guy is a saboteur. This lady, she's a saboteur. She's seen what we're doing. They're trying to sabotage it. And I say I want us to be merciful to all the brothers and sisters out there. And the reason I say it is because establishing 2 kind of mindsets, right? And we've talked about this. One is the back of the mind saboteur and the front of the mind saboteur. Now, the back of the mind saboteur is someone who lives in the system and they've been trained that, black people should be subservient, black people shouldn't do anything, but we're all in this together, kumbaya. And when they see black people trying to get together, they automatically will try to, disparage it, stop it, say it's wrong, rugby tackle you, all of that. This is the back of the mind sabotage. They don't know any better. They actually don't know any better. And when you look at the eyes, you see a twinkle, you realize, this guy actually doesn't know any better. And then there's a front of the mind sabotage where someone is actively being paid to undermine black progress. These are the ones you have to be wary of. So, let's just say big up to Brother Dino Kai and Brother Ultra. See them. Let's say this. This is nice. Can what I'm doing be used to undermine black progress? There you go. Black Betterment. Here we go. Well, yeah, we definitely don't want to undermine black progress. Anything. All right, good. So that's the front of the mind sabotage, back of the mind sabotage. Try to identify when you're talking to someone if they're practicing any of those 2. Fantastic. All right. Right. Now, what's this one? Right. Yeah. So just some words as well. Sometimes people who might practice back of the mind sabotage or front of mind sabotage, whatever, we might just go, these are Uncle Tom's, Coombs, Manny, Sellout, Coconuts Bay. Very interesting sounding words, very cool. Your music and film sounds great. I think in a debate or when you're trying to be constructive, you might want to minimize that to an extent. Some people disagree. They say no, but scorn them and warn them, all that good stuff, right? I would say, especially say someone's unsynchronized with Black Betterment or just unsynchronized. I mean, we're doing something, they're not doing it. They're not, because sometimes you can spend a whole day just name calling, then name calling becomes name calling. I try to use this show as an example. Many of the guests are very disciplined, but have once or twice. Some people might, slightly go off, and usually it's the name calling and this kind of stuff. So hopefully we can learn from that. But learn and we progress. Lot of mercy. Move on. All right. Questions to ask to see if someone. Right now, what's going to be happening now? And once again, I'll tell you about templates. People are going to approach you and they want black vote. They want black people to do certain things. Maybe get a certain kind of sweet. Maybe a certain kind of liquid that you take to make you not get a certain kind of illness. All this kind of stuff. They want you to do it. And they do. And then, you see them. And or maybe they want to start an organization that fights for the best that, you know, the bestness and the greatness of black people, to stop black people from being harmed and robbed, and all that fantastic good stuff. So the thing we have to ask ourselves is, what questions do we ask someone, you know, to ask to see if someone values Black Betterment or black people? But let's say Black Betterment as in black people working together to progress, right? And let's see. So one of the actual ones that could really get people rolling on the floor is, what are your views on black love? Now, we're defining black love just today, currently, as constructive black men with constructive black women raising constructive black families, right? Black people improving the reality of black people, and black people being respectful and honorable to black people. This is the concept of black love. The first one's the most important, right? So usually, I often want to think about this, because usually, you know, this is where you start getting some wobbly behavior, very wobbly behavior. And this is important, or so I say. Yeah. And the next one is, what are your views on black economics? You know, black people trying to actually, you know, own their own market, blah, blah. But we got down as black people networking with business, black people patronizing each other's business, and black people teach each other business skills. These two things, you're going to laugh, probably, or probably not, but these two things I'm pushing forward. If we put a big focus on these two areas, I think we can actively actually see a progression happen at a very satisfying rate. Satisfiable rate, right? So these are the things that I'm pushing: the Black Love campaign and the Black Economics campaign. But you know, if you ask them how they feel about it, they might start, you know, try to remix one of them, talk about something else, and this is where, you know, this person might not be synchronized with where black people are trying to go. A lot of them say, all right, collective black people have nothing. Right, very important. This is a good quote that you can learn. Very beautiful quote, and it's black collectively, on the collective level. Black people have no friends. People will tell you individually, and the next door neighbor. My friend made me a cucumber sandwiches, this kind of stuff. Very nice, very nice. But generally, if you want to train your mind to be efficient, this quote will help you. Collectively, black people have no friends. No, absolutely none. No, nobody likes black people. Now, I would like to say that black people like black people, but we're still finding that out. You see, we're still finding that out. All right. So this is something that might help you. Let me know if it does. It'll keep you going, you know, and hopefully when certain things become, you know, hard to understand, hard to get, very confusing, remember this one. It helps all the time. All right, now where we are. Nice actions that are, okay, yes. So we're going to do a small symbolic imagery to just help you out here. Nice actions that are and are not in black people's best interests. All right. So let's go for that. So these are the there should have been a thing there on the people's, but whatever. Nice actions that is not in black people's best interest. So we used a Michael Jackson. We always use Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, amazing talent, great stuff. Well done, Michael. Rest in peace and all that good stuff, right? But we have to use him as a case study, because Michael Jackson was, you know, he's up there with the Mickey Mouses and the Coca-Colas. Very popular, and he's human. So, you know, he technically that gives an extra point. But we have to, you know, for someone who's that popular, he's obviously going to be bombarded with all unfortunate, you know, practices that might not work in his best favor. So let's just review some of them. So here's a nice action that is not in black people's best interest. So he made a fantastic song, we all love it, called Black or White. Right. So let's break that down. So in this song, you know, everyone's dancing. Special effects. This is the first time After Effects, I think, was used, where people were changing from black to white using the latest in 90s technology, all that good stuff. And then obviously you had special guests, famous European stars at the time, Macaulay Culkin being one of them. As you can see, the producer was Bill Patrol, or whatever his name is, Buttrill or whatever. He also did the rap in there. No one knew that. It's a secret there. And obviously the director was John Landis, who also did The American Werewolf. All European people, fantastic, good skills, round of applause, nice. So this is a very nice thing, very good, but this doesn't necessarily help black people in any kind of way. Now, we're going to extend it even more, and that's the dialogues that people have. So what we have to understand is, I don't see no color. What's the other one? Everyone's equal. I don't see color. Your love has no color. All that good stuff there. That is a narrative that is meant for Europeans. You got to understand the dynamics between Europeans and Africans, or black people and white people, is very different. Why do I say this? Because Europeans have a history of mistreating black people in mass, right? So naturally, their narrative will be, I don't see no color, don't harm people, because they have a history of this kind of stuff. And also, it's actually the easiest thing to say. Reparations and repair, that's harder. So this is easy one. I don't see color, let's move on. But that isn't a black narrative. Black people, you have to see color, because you are recovering from the history of mistreatment. So you need to see color. All right. So this is the nice action that is not in black people's interest. Now, Let's go to the opposite. All right, let's go to a nice action that is in black people's best interest. Remember the time. Don't know if you remember this song. Some of you might not be a fan of music at all, but if you did, the brother, he made a song. The theme of the song was there in Egypt. Very nice. One of the first time to see Egypt, all black cast. Always very helpful for black people to see that. The guest star were famous black people running about doing their stuff, produced by a black brother and directed by a black brother. So we're using Michael Jackson as a case study of nice actions that are in black people's best interest and nice actions that are not black people's best interest. So remember, I'm not here critiquing people's nice actions. Well done, everyone who becomes nice. I'm here trying to up the ratio of nice actions that are in black people's best interest. Remember that word, black people's best interest. When you communicate with people, you can always say, how does that benefit black people? And can we talk in a way that benefits black people? Use that. There's your lingo. Use it when you're out there debating and talking and trying to help black people. Use it. It's yours. Copyright free. A lot of mercy. Let's move on. All right, cool. Now, unfortunately, when you look in the media, you're going to have people who have high principle behavior and error prone behavior. So what we used to do, and we're going to bring it back, we'd have images on the screen and we'd ask the people in the forum to give us like out of, is it -5 or a pro 5 when it comes to either high principle to error prone. So, for example, there might be a picture of, lots of men in dress and black men in dresses, that is. Obviously, we're a new age now. This is a new thing. But we ask people, is it necessary now for black people to be in dress? Yes or no? Is that high principle or error prone? And people give their examples and their ratings. And we can analyze and hear people's opinions. That's what we did. And we're going to bring that back in sometime soon. Racial, we won't go into the racial whitening and racial blackening now. Good concepts though, but we'll come back to those another time. To take anti-black racism, another thing quickly, just the way to think about racism, anti-black racism. Stage 1 was identify black people, mistreat black people, create self-hatred amongst black people, and miseducate black people, turn black people subservient, right? And that's stage 1. And everyone, when we talk about anti-black racism, we always think about stage 1. I need us to think about stage 2. What I'm pushing forward. Stage 2 is convince black people that they're in the same boat as non-black people. Discourage black people practicing black betterment. So these are the stage 2 that I focus on. Stage 2, and that's what we see a lot of, especially when I debate out there in public. That's what I see a lot. So remember that. Now, Love Black campaign, we talked about that. All right, okay, Love Black campaign, it moves on great. So, we're going to try to spread love in the sense of constructive black man, constructive black woman, constructive black family, images, stories, more representation of media that's probably hopefully owned by the black people. Create fantastic, constructive black love campaign. We're going to do that. Lord of mercy. Right, cool. Pattern perception. Like I said, who you pick for your wives and husbands, nothing to do with me. But I do train, hopefully, black people to look at pattern perceptions. And I was saying that when you have politicians coming out to do stuff, you have to look at their behavioral patterns, the history. And as I was showing, that all of the black male politicians that I come across, all of them, without exception, I could be 1 or 2 wrong. And if I am, I just give me their names and I can put it on there. But every single one of them had white wives and white ex-girlfriends and white crushes. At first when you talk like this, you say, oh, well, let it go. Love has no color. True, love has no color. Black love has a color. But this is a pattern perception. Remember, we're practicing discernment. So something might be going on and we have to work it out. Like, why is it that all the black politicians in the UK or in any kind of diaspora facing community, whatever it might be, right? Why is it that we see that something's going on? We need to be aware of this. And the pattern, could this mean that in other areas there might not be synchronized with black people? We don't know. It's something for us to talk about. Could be wrong, could be right, something to know about. And then I moved on to the pattern perception. There was an advert where certain individuals were telling black people to get a certain kind of substance, and when they drink the substance, it allegedly makes their body more stronger for certain kind of illnesses. This was a campaign I saw not too long ago, and when I looked at all the people in there who were black, I've never really seen them together, but all of them did not have black wives. It's just something to be aware of. People think that maybe I'm reaching and teaching and preaching. It's just pattern perception. I don't care who you love, never have, probably never will, but I have to give templates and I have to train black people how to look at pattern perceptions. Very important. If you know this, you will all change automatically. All right, that's good. And then we spoke about community spend, and we won't go because that was last week. But for those that don't know, basically it's about getting as many black businesses as possible and systematic shopping there, making a whole great event out of it. Wait, come along, spend all your money, good stuff. Hopefully, have rich celebrities come down and buy everything in a black-owned establishment. And then we're talking about if we can make that online and digital, blah 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 blah. And now we have a fantastic picture of many black people. Voila! All right, cool. How long did that take? Half an hour, not too long. That was quite fast. It's quite good. The killer speed of a millipede, that one. All right. Let me. I'll let the other one keep rolling for a bit longer. Now, what I'm going to do, family, I'm just going to invite people to come on because, like, the truth of the matter is, our solution to salvation and betterment is going to come from a team effort. Now, the team could be very small. I'm thinking of renaming certain like small kind of team-based initiatives just so we can have better perspectives. And the chances are a lot of the direction will come from a smaller group who are all synchronized on what the goal is. But this show is your show, and the only rules of the show really is we try to practice the 4D values, of course, and black people helping black people on black issues. That's just the starting ratio there. So what I'm going to do, if I can find, here we go, link. Let's make sure I've got the right link. Here is the link. So we're going to welcome anyone who wants to jump on and have you say. Always welcome to jump on. You can ask any question because it's the first show on the new thing. You can ask what you want, but we can go any direction you want. We can talk about anything that's in the news. We can any questions, any ideas, anything we want to do to progress the Black Betterment agenda. I'll put it in there now. Voila! In there you go. There's I hope that's the right one. Was that the lobby? It is the lobby for it. Yep, excellent. Right. So anyone who wants to join, you're always welcome to join. This show works on back and forth between fantastic people who have ideas, who come up and they have experiences, or they want to have experiences. They want to stay dedicated. Helping black people isn't easy, and if it was, everyone would be doing it. And for all you guys out there in the future listeners, the guys who are in the forum at the moment, I want to say well done to you guys who take your time to improve in all the areas of activity black people's betterment. I have to say that because you probably won't hear it at all, ever. And sometimes we have to really take time to pat ourselves on the back. We take our time, we make JPEGs, we do efforts, we have videos, we turn up to, shows, debates, you name it, right? And it all in the same goal that we want to improve the condition of black people. And that isn't easy. Isn't easy at all. So well done to you guys. And hopefully, and this is the truth. The truth is maybe amongst us, we just don't have what it takes. We might not have what it takes to really make a difference. Maybe, unfortunately. But at the very least, we can influence someone who does. We can influence someone who has that connection, or has that kind of angle, or has that persona, or has that platform. And and just through hearing these shows. Unfortunately, we don't have that many shows here, out in the world where black people are really having this kind of platform, and we have to build it, because destructive stuff, or error-prone, I should say, maybe correct. Error-prone stuff tends to sell more than high-principled. Now we're going to welcome Brother Kel. Brother Kel, welcome to the new show on the new channel. Kind of new channel. Welcome.
How you doing, Brother Raven?
I'm super fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I just want to congratulate the African family for the support of the new channel. I mean, if we have a history of supporting anti-Africanism, we must have a history of supporting Africanism. So congratulations to the African family.
There you go. And I co-sign that. I like I said, we have to show that we care and the efforts matter. And sometimes it's going to be very, very hard. But I would say that look at history, right? A lot of the greatest stories come from people who had hardship and persevered. And that is our story here. Start small, you get big. Brother Kel, is there anything you would like to bring up or talk about? Because right now, the floor is yours. And anyone else who's jump in. Just about Black Betterment, African advancement, anything else you wish to talk about that we can kick off the show with?
Yeah, I noticed there was an issue that you brought up. So, if possible, if we could talk about the solutions of how to train the youths who are 5 up until 30,
Yes.
how to help them to decode the aggressive, unethical code of conduct of the face expressions, the body language, the mannerism, and the characteristics of non-African people. And the second one is how to teach them that African people collectively have no friends.
Excellent. Excellent. I feel that both fantastic questions there that we're going to try to break down. And yeah, it's a very important. I think what you got to understand, and you know this, I know you know this, but I'm talking through you to other people. As you know, Black people have a subservient programming, unfortunately, through TV, the history, through parenting as well, this kind of stuff. And also, I haven't got any proof of this, but I don't know if it's been learned or it's biological. There seems to be a heightened niceness, in Black people, and they always looking to give the benefit of the doubt and be extra kind in here and this kind of stuff, right? And I think the words I'm using now that might help them is the word collectively, because if you say Black people have no friends, if anyone's watched me at Speaker's Corner or any kind of debate, when I bring this up, you have a whole lot of naysayers who jump in and they really don't have their opinion. And I say, and the reason is because they have one friend, neighbor, who buys them vegetables or something like that. So maybe they go to the park or something where that is seen as nice, and they go, well, no, Jimmy's okay. And I say, I'm sure Jimmy is fine. But we want to look at collectively. Collectively, no people group are coming together to aid Black people. That I'm saying they should. But the opposite is true. Many do come together to undermine. Yeah. So the word I would use to help them synchronize in their head is collectively. Because that way it allows them to leave Johnny and Jane alone. And they go, oh, you mean like when Jane and Johnny are part of a collective environment with their parents and grandparents and sister? Oh, I get that, yeah, because I guess Jane is powerless to stop that, and that makes them feel good, whatever, right? So that's one thing I would say. Another thing I say is whenever you do find out the mass mistreatment that many Black people go through, if not all, at the hands of non-Black people, unfortunately, when you do find that, rather than, and I'm not saying you should, because some people, they make a habit out of doing the opposite. But one thing I would recommend to certain people, depending if you don't have anxiety overload and that kind of stuff, is rather than hate non-Black people, intensify your love for Black people. You see, intensify your dedication. See, so that way you're redirecting your energy. You're redirecting your energy. So that's what it is. Now, what was the first question again, brother? It's because I think I answered in reverse. So what was the first question?
The first one was how to help the youth 5 up until 30 to decode the aggressive, unethical code of conduct of non-African people with the face expression, the body language, the mannerism, and the characteristics. The reason why I'm saying that for is I used to work in a children's home a long time ago, and due to the fact of, because we've abandoned Pan-Africanism and its highest of form Garveyism, is that we have a seeking of approval ideology. So when the youth is encountering on the battlefield, because let's be realistically, we are on the battlefield, they seem to be in an uncertain situation that they cannot understand or decode the aggressive face expression of non-African people, right? They don't know how to deal with it. Then the body language, whether they're in school or workplace, whatever, then the mannerism, then the characteristics, whether they are a bigot or whatever it may be in those fields. So what I was saying is that there has to be a solution to help them to decode it. One of the solutions, what was taught to me when I was younger and stuff like that, right, is that Stoicism comes from Africa anyway. One of the great scientists, Imhotep, and of course the African female scientists that helped him to understand psychology as well, is that Stoicism needs to be implemented into the youth and to keep their emotions intact. The second thing should be reserve and mystery. Do you understand? In order to calculate as well as deflect the energy, because as African people, Brother Raven, as you know, we have a great intuition of understanding energies. We know when people don't like us. When you go into a room, whatever it may be, we've got those antennas, and when it like activates in us, because we've been trained to be subservient, we don't have to channel it. So that's what I was saying. That would be the first discussion. How do we teach the youth how to decode that? The unethical code of conduct of the face expression, body language, mannerism, characteristics of non-African people, whatever field they may be in.
Very big question. And by the way, people are welcome to answer it from the forums, to jump in and give their 10 pence piece. I think there are many. You brought some good ones there. And there are many strategies that I would recommend, especially in the diaspora. And I think, like you said, unfortunately, because people are so integrated with so many aspects, that any kind of mistreatment that happens will just come, and there's very little defense. So what we can try to do, maybe in an artificial starting way, is what I definitely recommend, is having a digital black concept now. What I mean is, nowadays, not everyone, but many people have phones and they tap with their phones. And you tend to find that people are actually interacting more on their phones than they are in real life, which actually in itself is a problem. But however, they're doing it. But what I can say is something that can be done overnight, and maybe we can actually, maybe as a collective, we can collect a whole lot of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, right? Of Black Betterers, Proud Africanists, constructive, high-prone, high principled people, channels, right? But just a collective of them, and just tell them, follow these guys. Yeah, as in like, and what we're trying to do is create imagery and narratives that's a constant. So you've got to understand that a lot of these guys out there, they might be following things that might not be in their best interest, right? And they're following in the masses. So as they're scrolling through it, this stuff is just being absorbed, right? And also, they're also following non-Black people who are practicing whatever they're practicing, and and it's like I said, most challenges that direct negative behaviors that hit Black people, at this rate, especially in the UK, more so in the UK, but all over the world. It's undetected, and what I mean by that is, I think we ran some examples of this a few months back. I'll probably forget the names. Let me just invite a brother. There you go, brother. I'm just adding to the list, brother Dinger in, and we've got eyes to go. Let me just invite a brother. Someone might want to mute their thing. Yeah. Let me mute you for now. Who's got that? Yeah, I think that's good. I've just muted for a bit. So what I was saying is, there was a brother, I think his name was Patrick. For 1,000 forgiveness, I get the brother's name wrong. And what it was is, there was a time, they were out, and there were unfortunately, people were not best pleased with racist statues that were over in London. They went to protest women and children. People came and wanted to fight them. There were some brothers who came to protect the women and children from being harmed. And what happened is, one of the brothers was being racist and starting fights with women. And then, unfortunately, it depends who you ask. He was stopped and detained and thrown about a bit. And within this, a brother named Patrick, I think it's Patrick, 1,000 forgiveness, his name's not Patrick, came in and saved him. And what the reason I'm mentioning that is because the European media, the white media, what they did is they took that and they said, look at this kindness, this man, these people came to beat up Black people, and this man came and saved him, them or whatever, him. And, they never interviewed the man who was racist, because obviously he was interested. They gave awards to the brother. They put him on all the magazines. He was on all the GMTVs or whatever they call them now. I don't know. But all the brothers who are there to protect the sisters and that they won't be given a call. They won't win no awards. And that's the kind of mindset you've got to see. Like, you don't see that. What we're seeing is awards. We're seeing magazines. We're seeing hero, hero, hero. We're not seeing actually that's not in your best interest. Being beaten up isn't in your best interest, and saving the people you up. But this is a bigger conversation we can have. But like I said, we've got brother IC3 and brother Dino Kai here, so let's get them involved. I hope I'm going to turn my echo down. Hopefully, I don't affect me. But how you doing, brother? Who's that? How you doing, brother IC3? You okay?
Yes, in good spirits. Big up panel, big up yourself. Wonderful show. Nice upgrade.
There you go. Dedicated show. That's what it's all about. And we'll be talking about how to improve the format, have other guests and other type of shows, and all that good stuff. Like I said, this is the people's show. So as long as it's constructive, helps black people, we're going to try to do it with time winning, and hopefully we'll progress. Brother Dino, okay, how's it going? How you doing, brother?
Good evening, King. I'm blessed. I had to touch your court on the inaugural show on the platform. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you, family.
Because Black Betterment deserves its own platform. No conflation where everybody is coming for the dedicated purpose, not to debate, but to contribute. So I had to touch that, King.
I always welcome. And let us always know how we can support the ADPAC and anything else you're doing. Because like I said, this is what it's all about here. So now that you guys are here, anything you'd like to add on, ask about, or contribute, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. I'd like to answer Brother Kel's point about protecting our children.
Yeah, I think
there's certain things. Sorry, I was just going to introduce something. So there's certain things that ADPAC is in front of. So we're supporting a law called Jaden's Law. So there was a young man who was murdered, 14 years old, while he was excluded from school. And the Turkish young man who killed him, who was 18, was portrayed in the media from one of his previous babyface pictures, when this time he had a big hairy face. In any case, the law is to prevent schools from either excluding our young people or putting them into PRUs, pupil referral units, before identifying a suitable educational provision. So if they don't find an alternative educational provision, they can't put them in a PRU or directly exclude them. So there is a petition at the moment that we'd like you to sign. It's not that petitions have power. What they are is metric forms of measurement that show how many people are behind the campaign. With the introduction of the law, where ADPAC comes in, with all of the educational provision that we've aggregated nationally, we want to be able to provide those delivery partners, your manhood academies, your supplementary schools through NEAR Imara and the African Supplementary School Organization, and all of these delivery partners to the schools. Now, what happens is those educational provision will be able to draw down on the statutory money per child, which is what we want. We want to build out our educational provision to become robust. A lot of people in the so-called conscious community will say, oh, we don't want to look for the money. Yes, we have to look for the money because we pay tax and we contribute.
That's right.
So it's very important that we get behind Jaden's Law, which is a tangible piece of legislation of our creation to protect our children, to bring them into our educational provision. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm on 2 laptops, I'm between them. I'm going to be dropping the links for all of the things that I mentioned throughout the show. So as you call it, I guarantee we already have the solution provision and delivery partners. And I'm just going to drop those links for anybody who wants to explore them.
Excellent. Yeah, just definitely put that in there. We'll click on those. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Jaden's Law there. Really good. Very good. This is what I'm talking about.
Excellent.
Brother IC3, did you want to jump on? IC3, brother? Oh, your microphone might. Oh.
Yeah, I was just going to say, can you hear me? Because my hear me?
I can hear you. Could be a bit louder.
The O2 service is cracked up.
Oh.
So I don't know if if it's worth me staying on.
Well, we'll let you know if you become choppy. We'll just let you know, and you can log off and log on whenever. Reset your modem and all that good stuff. You know, but just so you know, brother Dino.
Well, this is what I've got to say. That yeah, okay, forget it. I can't.
Oh, we're gonna let brother IC3 sort out his O2 connection.
So it's okay. Continue.
Yeah, we will. Brother Cal, was that?
I can hear you. So I'll.
Yeah, there you go. Brother Kel, yeah, would you like to add to that? Brother Dino Kai is talking about the Jaden's law. You know, something I don't know if you're aware of, but something hopefully we can support and talk about. Anything else you want to add, Brother Kel?
Yeah, it was just you know, we explained it. There's like an academy in order to from a certain age range and upwards, and that was kind of what I was referring to. Somewhere where they can learn the political science of the non-Africans unethical code of conduct, man. So when they go into the society, you know, whether they're in an African institution or a non-African institution, hopefully it's an African institution, they know how to kind of decode and navigate around it. But yeah, that I have heard of the Manhood Academy, and it's definitely needed. So yeah, just based on the political science aspect. Yeah.
Excellent. That's good. That's very good. And don't forget to don't forget to give me a link, and I'll put the link in the actual the show bio after with the updated stuff. All the links that we talk about, just so people can get it. But it should also be in the forums. But we'll put it everywhere so people can definitely click and find it. One thing we also want to say as well is we always want contributors here. It's always fantastic. And we always want to let people know that women are always welcome to jump on board. The Queens is always definitely jump on board and feel free. And when we talk and stuff, we're definitely going to leave a space for everyone to have their say, especially the ladies, just so we can get around this perspective of what's going on and what needs to go on. There's certain things we might have missed. So please, although people are there in Interland, please know that is what we're doing. So formats, like, you know, how best could the Black Betterment broadcast serve Black people? What is it that we could do more of or less of? If anyone's out there, the forum, you're welcome to jump in. That could be beneficial. The panel, you can jump in anytime you want, if at all.
Yes, most definitely. I think that you can share snippets by editing down clips from the show and sharing them on socials so that the wider community get to hear the perspective of everybody on the panel, but also get to hear about the solutions. And then if you're dropping the links in there, awareness is key. And remember, there's no Black Betterment broadcast that is specific to one broadcast. That's going to be an overarching masterclass. Our people, like any people, are susceptible to slow exposure, because that slow exposure, drip feeding, leads to wider adoption. So remember, it's great that we have this to look forward to at the end of the week. But then after we've received this at the end of the week, I think if you chop this up to distribute in that drip feed, that slow exposure to the mainstream audiences across different social medias, which is where people are gathering information and believing that they've been to a university, we will get much wider adoption of the perspectives that are on the panel. This is a very concentrated and focused group. And to ask the 2 hours that it might be in the broadcast is a lot for people who might be entering the space. But I'll just say this. I know people now that I didn't know a year ago that before George Floyd was murdered, weren't thinking anything about the interests of African Caribbean people in this country. There's one lady in particular, beautiful, amazing lady, who has turned her business, which was a startup, already a 6-figure company, where she speaks with corporates for and on our behalf, who we'll be engaging with at the end of the month to create relationships to onboard our young people in terms of their careers into those corporate institutions, which is for profit, which then goes back into the civic ecosystem of underwriting the activity that ADPAC take up every day with delivery partners. So don't underestimate who these words may be touching. Malcolm X could have never have conceived that when I was 17, I would have read the book and it would have given me the ideology for the rest of my life when he passed. He would have never had any conception of me. And I can't have any conception of 1,000 who may come after me. So what this show does by aggregating particular thinkers who share a Pan-African ethos is invaluable. But I recommend distributing it with a mind to creating a slow exposure for the audience to adopt.
Solid. Very solid. Definitely. No, I co-sign it. Definitely. Brother Cal, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, most definitely has to be broadcast. Personally, I think it needs to reach more to the youth, Brother Raven. You know, with the exception of those who are in their 40s, who are, you know, synchronized, there is a problem with the elders. And although they've laid down the blueprint for us, they've lost their juice, and they are training the youth to give up of, well, you can't beat the system and etc. So the Black Betterment podcast, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, man, is definitely beneficial. It just needs to reach more the youth, training them to be more politically scientific, because, you know, as what Brother Dean was saying, you know, although it's once a week, when we go back to our houses, the youth are facing hell. Do you understand? So it needs to be something where they're constantly drummed into their head how to meditate against unethical code of conduct, how to deal with on the battlefield. There needs to be something addressed to them constantly, and then teaching them how to develop. Obviously, Brother Dean, he's come up, you know, with his organization, and I will definitely support that. But I'm just saying, on a everyday day-to life, man, there has to be something that's drummed into their head to be more politically scientific, man. I hope the show will be able to do that.
110%.
Yep, carry on. I'm writing this down, by the way, guys. I think maybe having maybe one thing like an outreach to have maybe certain youth speakers or certain people, or maybe a dedicated show or something where like an unpack show where we can unpack and pick each other's brains. And I guess, you know, there's obviously certain things we want to teach, but also I think there's things we're going to need to learn, because there's certain things that we might not be aware of, and there's just the speed of change that happens in the youth, right? And also perspective, as in like how things are interpreted, you know. So it would be good if we could have a touch base with some of the younger generation. So hopefully we can do that. There we go. More live, brother. I'm just going to post some of the links there. More live, brother. Make sure you post all the links for the people. Yep. So people are hungry for the knowledge there, brother. So when you have it, post it. We'll put it up. You know how it is. But yeah, like I said, guys, I've also posted a link in the forum. If there's anyone else who wants to jump in, now you can. Unfortunately, our contributor IC3's the internet was a bit ropey, up and down, so he had to jump off. But he normally brings many amazing things to think about. But just to recap, Brother Dino has said maybe ideas of taking certain clips of certain speakers, certain kind of themes from a show, and put them out so they could be shared. Yes, maybe certain key points, certain, you know, short bursts, so people can share it. You can do that fast impact stuff, you know, because it is like a cricket match at the moment, at least the 2020 cricket match, whatever it is. And so just break down. And then Brother Kel jumped in and said that, you know, maybe as directing things to the youth, and I've really co-signed it, so maybe trying to have some of the youth on the actual show, or not the shows, but maybe a dedicated show or the show. I mean, you know, depends on time and stuff. So these are two things that, you know, we're making these notes, and there. Like I said, Brother Kel and Brother Dean has the floor, so they can carry on. Anything else you want to say? Now's your time. All right.
Yes, I just wanted to contribute one thinking. I've put 2 links in the chat. Yes. One of them is for our distance learning delivery partner. So we have a delivery partner in Knowledge Finder. They've created an app. So if you think of Shore Academy, ongoing training, be it professional development or just short courses, they've created this platform, Knowledge Finder. So ADPAC is working with Knowledge Finder and our partner HMP TV to shoot content, so that rather than us having to come to classes, we've now got digitally automated distance learning platform that we own. So it's 100% from the root to the two are African owned. So I've put the link for that on there. And I've also put the link for the African Caribbean student forums. So anyone who's in a university who would like to become politically active, whether it is in economics, whether it's in justice or direct politics, if they join ADPAC's forums, which are the African Student Union forums, then they'll be active in a specific forum. So one is economics, one is education, politics, justice, housing, health, where they're creating and contributing to policy because they're going to be the beneficiaries of it in a decade's time. So rather than saying, well, you can't beat them and them, no. Here is a structured program for you to enter to create policy from now, where you are the politically most passionate you will ever be in your life, before you lose that juice that Brother Kale said. Because by and large, we do. I will suffer from burnout every 7-8 months or so, because you look and it's such an uphill battle, pushing water uphill. And since closing my shop of 11 years and deciding to do this full time, literally as I was standing in the reparations march 2 weeks ago, I realized it's 1 year to the day, August 1st, since I closed my shop and been doing this work full time. Now, I have not earned £1 with my commercially savvy mind from doing this work. Don't cry for me, Argentina, though. The programs that we've set up, which are specific youth programs for youth leadership, which are about to be funded, will suit me fine. And I pray that I make $1 million from them, because you can only make $1 million from doing the work. But I see how there are 4 ilks of people that I call them. I call them the sloth, who have been doing it for 40 years, but go back to their job on Monday and will tell you, boy, the thing now change, it can't be done. There's no way around it. It's because of a lack of those young ideas and innovation. The tortoise, which is what I fall into. You just take one incremental step to make progress every day, have a very resilient shell. Eventually, we'll get there. Then you have the aspirer. These are your Kemi Badenochs and your Sean Baileys. They aspire to be included within the system. So they will do anything the system pays them based on their personal ambition. And then you have just as nefarious, but more dangerous than the aspirer, because we can see the aspirer, is the pimp. The pimp doesn't use language that involves economics, tangibles, or policy. They use emotive language that will grab your heart. All they really desire is money, and they will lead you on a journey that has no destination because of the very ambiguous language. What's the outcome? We got to get there. We got to do it. Kings and queens. So when you recognize the 4 types, then you look at the organizational entities. What are the objectives, the long-term objectives of the entities? And when you have an organization, you got to break it down into programs and initiatives that policy is being created for every day. Now, the only way to turn policy into practice is to underwrite it with economics. No economics, your policy is merely an ideology, and an ideology is intellectual masturbation, and is not going to advance us and our socioeconomic mobility in any tangible terms. So we're always looking for tangibles and policy that can be turned into practice. Otherwise, it's romantic.
Great speech. Now, before I forget, I don't know if you've posted the links, brother, but I don't know if it's been blocked or you haven't posted it, but I think people.
I've put them in the chat.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Security services may do what they do, and I'm sure Google does a lot of funny things with me, between YouTube, Google, when I'm doing these things anyway. And I've seen, when I did the voice interview, there were things disappearing as I put them on right in front of my face. So I'll post the links again. But I am aware that having been a victim of the security services directly breaking into my shop and leaving their little trademark clue just to let you know you're on the radar, funny things do happen around me. So
what we should do is if find a way, if it doesn't come up now, find a way to message me the links, and then what I'll do is I'll just message me directly, right? And I'll just put the code in there, and I'll put it in the description, because once the form is shut, you can't put it in there. So, but as long as it's there, it's there. But
I'll WhatsApp you the links as well.
Yeah, that's good. So everyone there, not to worry if you don't see the links there. What I'll try to do is after every show, any kind of links that's of necessity, I'll put in the bio section. And if you just click it, expand, you click on there. I hope they don't remove it from there, but we'll see. All right. Nice information there, but nice update there from Brother. Who's this? Brother Raven. If Brother Dean posted in the private chat, you can copy and paste it. Yes, that is true. Within this, there's a private chat.
Exactly.
Yeah, they say everyone big up Sister Kushti. Very great contributor, very important, and always coming with the tangible, easy steps to make things easier. It was she's very helpful, and we have to give thanks to the hard work behind the scenes that Sister Kushti does week to week. Well done. Couldn't do it without you. Excellent. Right, so Brother Kel, you're the man of the plan. Anything else to add on that one? Anything else to add on that? Is so far we're going good?
Yeah, we're going good. The next thing would be how to campaign nationalism back to the youth. What I've noticed, the non-Africans, and they do it very well, is that they have a great technique due to our subservient behavior of able to blend with us. And then when the time to leave us, they can go back in their community and still practice their code of conduct. We seem to have a mentality that when we're around them, we become imaginative and lose ourselves and don't know how to uplift the code of conduct. I was wondering if the Black Betterment could promote and campaign nationalism back, not the nationalism of where you want to, where you think your country or your nation's better, but in the sense of independency through all things, due to the fact that we need to cure ourselves from a disorder that has been, placed on us. Campaigning nationalism.
Hello. Yeah. So I was trying to find the comments, and I think I went back. Yeah. So so just to recap there, Brother Carl, I think I was kicked out for a small bit. That was my fault. That wasn't anyone trying to get rid of me. So you're talking about nationalism again. How to put the nationalism back in the youth? Is that correct?
That's right, brother.
Thank you. Okay. Brother Dean, resonates with you? Anything he's saying? Anything that
absolutely.
There you go.
So we've got a campaign called the We Matter campaign, which is short form videos. If you think about the Unilad videos shot in front of the screen. So using our influencers to shoot 2-minute videos so they can fit in Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, across the board. And then using the Facebook ads. So we've just taken on a marketing director who has a corporate background, who's done over 1 million in Facebook ads, so that we know how to specifically target sectors of society, be it African Caribbean youth, African Caribbean women of a particular age, African Caribbean men of a particular age, so that it's a very specific and targeted amount of campaigns. But what we want to do in shooting the We Matter campaigns is, let's say you took a particular topic, like the Home Secretary Priti Patel attacking us, and then you recorded 100 influencers within those 2-minute videos, and then released them day, date, and hour as a thunderclap. Just imagine how saturating the digital sphere, how powerful that messaging is. It can't be missed. It can't be missed by our young people, and it can't be missed by anybody. So when you specifically target young people and you got that tactic of slow exposure, you will absolutely convert them. But remember, here's the element that's been missing from the conscious community is production values. Are we competing with Netflix? Are we competing with the drill websites and the caliber of production? Are we trying to reach young people where they are, or are we speaking to them where we are now, pointing our finger and saying, you must do this? So we've got to have young people fully infused in the marketing, design of marketing and production in order to reach their peers. So what I said about the monetization in the first program that ADPAC will be monetized within, our coordination of a program that is to create peer-to-peer leadership for young men who've been exposed to serious youth violence. So rather than us going in that room and facilitating a circle time session, it's to train these young men, specifically African Caribbean young men, so that they have all of the soft and hard skills within their toolkit to be able to deliver a facilitation in a safe space to their peers. Because peers left to their own devices, like the book Lord of the Flies, become very bestial. So this is all we're seeing of our young men, in that not just drill, but the emergence of Top Boy, Blue Story. They're getting a very narrow narrative through their filter. So if we think of anything as a sales filter, their sales filter is being pushed violence, a macho over projection with very little wisdom. And very few people are teaching these young men how to become calculated critical thinkers. So on the part of any ADPAC training for young men with delivery partners, all of our delivery partners are seeking to make our young men and women critical thinkers who are highly calculated. Now, due to our relationship with post-traumatic slavery, we are taught that being calculated critical thinkers is nefarious. And this is why Europeans keep whipping our ass. Because we have that perspective, oh, sugar, he thinks, he's dangerous. No, we want to take missiles and turn them into guided missiles so that they are highly calculated and highly critical thinkers, because these are the people who are going to benefit our community. And then just like what Europeans do in our world is position them within government, within local authority, within all of their institutions, as well as our civic institutions, because then you have that inside-outside relationship where the inside is teaching the outside how to move, what noises to make, because then inside they just need to very gently mirror what is being said by the heavy aggression. And I put it like this as a sum up. If you think about Greenpeace as an organization, they'll go out and have rallies, they'll be aggressive about the environment. And then on the left of that is the Green Party. So they don't have to be so outlandish. They just need to gently mirror what the Greenpeace say. And then what happens is they have a huge effect on environmental policy. So unless we start to think with that kind of innovative thinking as African Caribbeans, where you have, let's say, an ADPAC and the Black Betterment movement that is over here making the aggressive noises, that now you have our own political party in the We Matter party who merely need to gently just mirror what is being said over there. Now we're going to affect policy that benefits African Caribbeans as a population. So we got to start adopting the innovative tactics and strategies that work for other people and looking at what everybody does, but letting it influence our policy and procedure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, big stuff there. 10 points. I think you talk about production value is important there as well. I think, and yeah, having the youth-led initiative, and I guess that bounces and correlates with what I'm saying about actually having on this particular platform a dialogue, a dialogue, and see where things are at. And I hear that what you're saying in the sense of, the mainstream control narrative of I guess maybe drill or these latest trendy shows, they're showing one element. And something that we do want to move on is that, and it's something we've heard of before, this concept of not actually valuing critical thinking skills. Very, very good point you put there. And I think I heard a couple of people talk about this, to be fair, but it is, maybe that is a campaign in itself, as in like how to make being critical cool. You know, how to, I think I remember Karis One talking many years ago where he was bullied for going to the library, something like this. I remember years ago. And he was trying to change the narrative that not actually going to the library and learning something is something that we should be valuing, not something that we're belittling. I mean, it is a wonder of how these things, if at all, become so widespread. The glorification of not achieving. And this is an interesting thing, really. Interesting. But yeah, co-sign that all day long. And as you know, when it comes to education, I'm big on that. So. And also when it comes to directly teaching skills, you know, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to these kinds of things, I definitely want to be involved with the youth. Because like I said, with us, we can take things so far, but I think Brother Cal did say at some point we are preaching to the choir. We do want to touch new base. We do want to get fresh younger people who have more energy. And that's another thing. When you were talking about a lot of the people who are doing some of these behavioral patterns, they've got a lot of energy in areas that isn't to Black people, African people's best interest. So it's about taking that and placing everything they're doing so it comes back to us. It comes back to a collective and more constructive, and we can market it. Excellent. Brother Cal,
application of energy.
Yes, there you go. Brother Cal, you like what we're hearing so far, Brother Cal?
Yeah, it's definitely solution based. I just wanted to ask another question. For Brother Dean and yourself. Generalization has become demonized for the African descendants, whereas for the non-Africans, one of their highest political scientific strategies is that they generalize all of us. Hitler's right-hand man, Joseph Goebbels, said he taught Hitler to accuse the opposition what you're guilty of. How do we campaign for the youth to feel comfortable with wisdom, of course, when they're in the battlefield, to generalize all non-African people, to help them to decode that when they are practicing their unethical code of conduct? Generalization seems to be timid for us. We seem to break non-African people into categories, whereas they never break us into categories. They put us all in the one group. What would be the campaigning strategy to help the youth to feel comfortable to generalize in a wisdom, strategic way?
Absolutely. It's happening right now. And if you look at this conservative administration, what they've done is they've got a completely Afrophobic agenda, and then they'll put African Caribbean ministers at the forefront of that to deliver it, like Kemi Badenoch, who is a minister for equalities, who is everything except for the equality of African Caribbean people. So the first thing they do is they master the language of racial dog whistling. So when you hear, every time they speak about anything nefarious, they'll throw Black Lives Matter in there, because they know that the first thing is African Caribbean people won't necessarily defend it, because we understand Black Lives Matter, the organization, to have an agenda which we don't necessarily concur with. But what is happening is there's a conflation of a Black Lives Matter movement, or even the term that Black Lives Matter, which is just a fact, with the actual organization. And there's a minister, I'm just looking for his name because I was on a Twitter campaign to highlight this journal for what he was doing in using the language of racial dog whistling. What he did was he was speaking about the Afghans. So his name is Lord Robofan. And Lord Robofan said that Britain was being undermined by the politics of Black Lives Matter with this Afghanistan issue, and weakened in the eyes of the world, and that they had to purvey and convey their values militarily to the world. Now, why is he using Black Lives Matter? because it's politically expedient to demonize us. Now, what we may or may not realize is happening as they're using that language of racial dog whistling is what happened in 1970. The, what do you call it? Civil rights movement grew to such a height that it was absolutely humiliating America, because you can no longer be the moral authority of the world and stand on any moral platform when you are hanging African Americans from trees. So since you have no moral authority, you have to do something to now silence the voices of the civil rights movement and African Americans. And that is what is being duplicated over here. So it's called a policy of benign neglect. Benign neglect is when you see, I'm not going to go into a long waffle. I'm going to wrap it up very quickly.
No, take your time.
Yeah. So benign neglect is when you see a problem in society and just decide that problem will solve itself. So no problems solve themselves. Problems require policy. Policy requires resources. So the first thing they do to rob us of empathy that any non-Africans might apply to us is say, Black Lives Matter, BLM, Black Lives Matter, every time there's something nefarious. Now they understand the nature of the subconscious mind and how that is being digested by xenophobic English people who then lose all empathy with us. And it only takes a year to do, because they understood the leverage that we had when Black Lives Matter, the organization, took a dump in the street and just wasted the opportunity. Now, unfortunately, this man lost his life, George Floyd, but it was an opportunity to build on our power via the leverage that we had at that particular time and to sustain it. But because Black Lives Matter was the people who unashamedly asked for money, raising 800 grand in a week and 1.2 million in a week and a half, they got the resources to be able to execute all of the valuable work that needed to be done. Now, I met with the head of that organization and had a 2-hour meeting. Not African, he happens to be a Tamil tiger. And he said that ADPAC would be able to use their offices and studio in Shoreditch, and just didn't answer the phone after the fact. So it is what it is. But behind me and next to me was an entire team, which is our media team at HNP TV, creatives. I think I might even have mentioned it to you, Raven, at the time that I'd met the fella. Now, a lot of these, we call them intersectional organizations, they gave 45 grand. But I don't know how those intersectional organizations are contributing to the wider community in what you call the Black Betterment movement. So in short, how we enable our young people is by having structured programs of training, which is what the managed training program is. And I'll post a link for that, which is civic and entrepreneurial leadership in tandem to create a generational layer of youth leadership capable of fulfilling all of the positions that we require to move forward as a community, so that we don't have to rely on celebrities and call them leadership.
Nice point there. Before I forget, Brother MA has joined the panel. Welcome, Brother MA.
Yeah, greetings, everybody. Hope everyone's well.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Can you hear me, yeah?
Yes,
yeah, greetings, brother.
How you doing?
Yeah, greetings, Brother Kale, as well. Yeah, man, great to see that the channel is up and running and that. It's been a long time coming. Kasu's here, say hello.
Greetings.
Greetings.
How you doing?
She's got an almighty block nose right now, so I'm trying to stay on the other side of the room still. Brother Dean, you actually touched upon something that I wanted to throw out there, actually towards the end of your talk there. My dad came up in a AAPRP in the 90s, and one of the reasons why he said left is because, well, actually, he didn't actually tell me that's why he left, but I gathered that the engagement with non-Africans became problematic in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I've had some engagement myself with the party, and again, I've had similar experiences. I haven't joined officially, but I've had some engagement with the party. Last year's reparations lockdown and alarmed my wife when we arrived, walking down from Stockwell. We got to Mac Roach Park and saw all of the white Rasta women doing cartwheels and all everything there. Yeah, and that alarmed us. You have, generally speaking, I think you guys know where I'm getting at. What is, I believe that any engagement with non-Africans is problematic, and it creates more, sometimes it creates more work for us than we already have before we engage with them in the first place. Now, to a certain extent, I think that I understand that there are some occasions where it's necessary, even indirectly, in the sense of we all have, well, most of us have jobs that we work at where we have to deal with a white person, and they're the ones putting money in our pocket, so to speak. So that's understood. But I think outside of the absolutely necessary, I don't see any reason why we need to be colluding with and collaborating with non-Africans if our goal is to streamline our operations and incubate our thinking, our practical kind of trajectory. So what's your thinking on that? I think this is a conversation we need to have across all of our organizations to be on one accord. But what's your thinking behind that, brother?
Yeah, so I'll tell you straight, in terms of ADPAC, you can only join ADPAC as an African Caribbean. I personally don't use the term, and we don't use the term black because we deal with the ethnicity as opposed to the race. Anybody can self-elect to be politically black. They usually do it when they come to usurp our money. So even at this stage, we're affecting the terms of reference in terms of at an institutional level with the police, with local authorities and direct government. We're having those conversations about affecting the terms of reference to change from black to African Caribbean. So you can't become a member of ADPAC if you are non-African Caribbean. You can't become a member as an organization, and you can't become a member as an individual. But what we do have is something where we let institutions become affiliates in what we call friends of ADPAC. So let's say some institution like the civil service wanted to align with ADPAC. Cool. Whereas the individuals pay £5 a month, organizations pay 15. You pay £35 a month. You're not a member, but there's certain information we may break off to you, such as data that we aggregate. So they would have specific information that they're given, which is the value. But now this information actually benefits us. So what we're doing now, we're involved in a lot of studies. One of them is with the Black Business Network. The name of the consultancy firm doing the research evades me, but also it's with Lloyd's Bank. That's the funder. This is what we need the non-Africans for. So this piece of research is to quantify what our businesses are worth to the GDP, what we are worth to the British GDP. Now, these are important things for us to understand and have the reports on, and to be able to aggregate all of the reports, because every single bank has an Asian business department. But what bank has a black business department? And black doesn't even mean anything in terms of a legal title. So although I might call Jerome Rapraven, if I wrote a check for Rapraven, Jerome couldn't cash it. And because we are called black, which is a colloquialism, when we are Africans, and I use African Caribbean because then I don't get the argument of conflation that some Caribbeans don't recognize the African. So I just go because we're used to that and we accept it. African Caribbean. We deal with ethnicity, and we deal with exclusively ethnicity. So based on that, our relationship with Europeans is purely an institutional one. So when we go to Europeans, we go with our vehicle and we speak with their vehicle. So ADPAC is happy to have any dialogue with any local authority. ADPAC is happy to go to New Scotland Yard and speak with the boy them. ADPAC is happy to go to central government. If the Green Party were in there, if Labour in there, if Conservatives were in there, because we speak with parity through our vehicle. And the beauty of a vehicle is, if you have an 18-wheeler, you can transport cargo, passengers, and drive in one direction to reach a particular destination and carry all the passengers and cargo with you. You can even smash through a wall. But if you don't have the axle that connects those 18 wheels, all those 18 wheels will just bounce off a wall. All those 18 wheels just go in their own direction. And the luxury that Europeans have had is that with no African Caribbean specific umbrella to aggregate all of our organizations as a national movement, they just been like wheels going in their own direction that bounce off a wall. Because who is government even talking to? That's why they don't have the respect for us that they have for the Board of Jewish Deputies, that they have for the Islamic Council, that they even have for the newest group to BAME, which is the traveling community, gypsies. Can you imagine? They got a national representation and we don't.
Good point.
Yeah, that's mad. That is mad. That's crazy.
Just before, I think you answered the question, but there was a question. Some Africans or might not understand that, or some raising. I think you answered yes. Caribbean and African. I think that's what you're asking. It's synonymous. Same lineage, same people group, ethnic group within the IC3 paradigm. There you go. Yeah. So, brother MA, correlate with what you're liking so far.
Yeah. So again, Raven.
So is what Brother Dean saying, does that make more sense? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Absolutely, especially in terms of how ADPAC is going to operate.
Let me expand it from my standpoint. So I guess we're the same. I guess we're on the same path. Where for me, unfortunately, when I started historically looking at people of African descent coming together, Black people working on solutions, there was this kind of like open kindness where everyone wants to come and have their say, and before you knew it, other people's agendas became more forward than Africa. And some might argue that you might see that in some of the movements that's quite prominent now as you put forward. So one thing that I try to do is I try to do things step by step. This broadcast is promoting the lifestyle of Black people, or in this context, Black African Caribbean people, working with Black people on Black issues. That is it. Now, from that lifestyle, institutions can be made, ideas can be made, collective groups can be made, movements can be made. But the foundation is the value of African Caribbean coming together, working on solutions.
110%.
So then that is something that the community have to hold me together. If I'm preaching the Black Betterment concept, and I'm that's the initiative, and I'm going forward, that you have to hold me to that. And that's why I always make side analogies about veganism, because veganism is a very particular thing. You can't harm animals. If a person comes to the party with a massive cow, that's not veganism. So it's the same thing with Black Betterment. There's particular rule sets. It's Black people and Black issues. And from that, we can make institutions dedicated for that kind of solution-based initiative. And brother Dino Kaiser push forward one idea he's pushing forward, and we can help get that through. I hope that made sense, brother, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm completely aligned with the thinking of both of the brothers there. I feel like there's a lot of organizations who have been around, both organizations that have been around for a long time, and also new organizations, equally liberation fighters or thinkers who have been around for a long time, and those who are new to the game as well. All four of those can come from similar or different trajectories in terms of how they enter the politics of what it means to be African today. I feel like what I've seen happen is sometimes the stalwarts can work towards a particular end where they're only focused on and around Black people, African from the African diaspora. And then they get to a point where, strangely, they open themselves up to the world a little bit more, and then they find themselves actually colluding with non-Africans, which is strange to me. I've seen it in when my dad kind of resided when he came from Jamaica in Harlesden. I've seen it a lot over the years. When I was younger, walking through Harlesden, it was a lot different. So some of the stores, the mentality was a lot different to how it became kind of after the 2000s. A lot more collusion, collaboration with non-Africans became the norm. On the other side, you have kind of the young people coming into the thing, and they're coming into the thing with a liberal mindset where they've grown up around non-Africans. They've maybe even been politically educated by non-Africans. That happens a lot. You know what I'm saying? They can get a lot of information from the bully around the corner who smokes a lot of weed and actually he's got bare books and his dad used to be a communist or whatever or what have you. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's a multi-pronged attack from kind of neoliberal nefarious forces at play that are coming from every direction and can infect both the seasoned stalwart as well as the fresh child coming into the thing. So that's something that I think we collectively have to be extremely aware of and careful of how we do that.
Good point. I'm just going to answer and then we're going to welcome Empress Kushti. A very good point. And I think this is part of the training now. I think you're right. Through integration and stuff, a lot of people come in holding hands and they don't necessarily see the necessity of why there's a value in staying within your group to work on solutions. Some people maybe don't appreciate how I label things, but I think I like to start conversations at a certain truth, and I like to highlight, the data. And unfortunately, because of a history of certain kind of behavioral practices, Black people find themselves at many low ends of many societies when it comes to economics and these kinds of things. And with my analogy, when I first started with the whole football team, because I know that I never want to damage Black people's self-esteem. I always say that this is Black people when we get together and work, this image of the football team. But if we work like that, we're getting nowhere. So when people come holding hands and this kind of stuff, this is how they're operating. And you tend to find that whenever people of African descent work with other people, the other people tend to benefit more. And this is by design. So we have to have a lifestyle that completely changes that. Also, we have to make sure that the conversation is never about non-Africans. You see, it is about Africans. It's about Black people. It's about that collective. And sometimes, because of the subservient chip that's in our head, we end up talking about other people. So hopefully, through the lifestyle and through the things we do, we can give ways around that. But before, I'm not going to carry on talking. Empress Kushti, welcome to the show. We always like to have the female energy here. Welcome. How's it going, sister?
Greetings, family. Bless up all the brothers on the panel. Bless up
long
time, brother. It's good to see you on the panel. Greetings, brother Emma.
Might just say to everyone before sister lands, we have to give a special thanks to Empress Kushti because behind the scenes a lot of work is done. Lots of links are promoted. Technical information is given that makes the show flow more smoothly than it could possibly do. So we give thanks to Empress Kushti for this. A very good contributor. And she's a lady who has taken herself to approach people to add betterment to their lives. And this is a good stuff. So thank you, Empress Kushti.
Thank you, Raven.
You're welcome, of course. Is there anything you'd like to add? You've heard a lot of speaking. Is there anything you'd like to add or ask or while we're here, Empress there?
Yeah, I think so far it's been a brilliant conversation. I'm loving the warrior energy on the panel, and a lot of great things have been said. Probably be a bit predictable, but one of my focuses is obviously on Black businesses, and I noticed that with a lot of even minorities within this country hold a monopoly in certain areas, especially in regards to areas that would be interested for our community. And I don't feel that we have a strong enough monopoly on things that we should do, whether it's
Mhm.
dealing within our community, catering for our community, or even imports from the diaspora to our community. I don't think that we've got a real solid council, and because of that, there's not any real legal legislation in regards to how things are run. And I feel that what happens is that the consumer or the community are the ones who end up feeling the wrath of that. And I feel that that should be a strong point mentioned as well, because we can't get anywhere without our economics and our business, and we won't get no form of real respect unless we
Mhm.
have institutions run by us.
110%.
Yes. Yeah, well, this is something we definitely agree, and I guess it's all a step-by-step process, isn't it? I guess to add to what Brother Kel says, this is something that we are training and teaching and pushing forward for the youth, is that ownership is important. I don't. I suspect ownership isn't necessarily taught in schools, and when I talk about the going digitally black and digitally African, it is about finding these kind of platforms, ADPAC and Black Betterment Broadcast and all the others out there, so we can have a list to give to our cousins and youth and stuff. So this can be part of their digital journey. So as they're scrolling, rather than seeing what they're seeing, that definitely has an influence, right? They're seeing this stuff. I mean, some of us, some of the stuff, like, whether we want to be or not, since we started joining this kind of like pro African narrative and following certain pages, day to day we're being constantly updated and rebalanced all the time. Because it happens so normally, we're not even aware of it because we're in it. But we have to understand there are many younger brothers and sisters who are not in that world, and they're looking at when Brother MA came and said holding hands of other people. Well, imagine that is a metaphor for digitally, for when they're following these other kind of channels and they're getting these other kind of ideas. So we definitely need to get something out there, and obviously ownership is something we're going to be pushing. Something that was interesting, because obviously when this is something to be aware, when the Black Lives Matter thing happened, I noticed on the internet that this is the first time I've seen it ever. There was a small attempt from non-black people to promote black-owned businesses, and I hadn't seen that before. Did you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, go ahead, sister.
Sorry to interrupt you, Brother Raven. I noticed that as well. There was a strong push into that, and that was even into literature when it was in regards to learning a bit more about Black history. They were promoting different books to suggest to read. They would. Another thing that was really surprising as well was I forgot what the hashtag was, but they were going to really big companies and questioning them in regards to how many Black people they have in their management, the ratio of how much Black staff they have, and what rank they'd be, what rank those Black people are in. And that put a lot of pressure on those businesses, especially when it was time to publish their data.
It's actually been legislated.
Now, what I want to not to be the party people, because this is a good thing. Anything that helps Black people is good. But one thing I would say, sometimes, and this is me being the party people, sometimes we have to be careful of certain things that could be seen as controlling narrative, in the sense of this concept of doing you a favor early, and then it gets everyone back into that kind of holding hands perception. So this is kind of qualifying potentially a nice action that is not in Black people's best interest. It is in a sense of getting work, but ultimately we want people of African descent to control that action, to be promoting, to rather than necessarily be working in institutions that are run by non-Africans, to actually be run themselves by Africans and start that way. So I'm always be aware that sometimes when good deeds are done, I'm not trying to be a part group, but sometimes it can be used to control. I'm not saying that's definitely always the notion, but what I do want to highlight is I remember speaking out when I was mentioning the promotion of Black businesses. There was a lot of pushback, and you got somebody saying, why are you only saying that? And it seems like the only time this became permissible is when a Black person was murdered, and somewhere someone said, okay, what is an empowering thing we can do? And one was promote, a vegan shop or this kind of thing, whatever, right? So this is just something for us to be aware of. But any promotion is a promotion, but just something to be aware of. Go ahead, brother Carl. You have the mic. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was listening to what Dean was saying in regards to the certain obstacles he's had to face. Yeah. And one of the things I've noticed is that with freedom fighting and economics, the Honourable Marcus Garvey made it clear in his philosophy that there has to be security.
Mm-hmm.
Do we campaign to the youth, right, to police our areas and to police our freedom fighters? Because a lot of our parents and grandparents were freedom fighters in this country, and they always had security with them. If you look at the Honourable Marcus Garvey, when he came to Hyde Park, etc., there was always security with him. The Nation of Islam, Brother Dean, yourself, you
wouldn't see it, but I have it. If you see me on any protest, you weren't going to see anybody in uniform, but please be aware, my security is right there. Okay,
so that's what I was wondering, right? How do we campaign to the youth, right? And this is it's a very controversial and sensitive, because I don't want it to be worded the wrong way, but we have to be real. How do we in the youth to police their areas, look after and protect the economics, as well as non-African people trying to deactivate our agenda? If someone, perhaps Brother Dean, yourself, could elaborate, how do we campaign?
Definitely. I don't want to go too much into the detail of security, just based on the nature of the platform, and that it's never wise that our adversaries or the attention from those in security or anybody else look at us. However, you hit the nail on the head, as did Empress Kushti. Our security has to grow at exactly the same rate as our economics and our influence. You brought up a key, I think Michael Jackson stands as a metaphor when you brought up that black or white, because what we were looking at is the most exceptional individual solution. And what we got to get past is exceptional individualism for collective interests. Because what happened to that exceptional individual is when he had isolated himself, like Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson, then they were food for the dominant culture. So when you wrap yourself within those who you rely on, let's take, for instance, a Minister Farrakhan, who doesn't get anything from your dominant culture, by and large. It's from, now, obviously, there are educational things which benefit the masses, which are grants, which also contribute to the business model. But by and large, it comes from the people that he and the institutions serve. So when we get that mind frame, there's a reason that I didn't take money for the first year, because it's all about building a model that will allow the institution to remain in integrity. So you will look at a lot of so-called black organizations that are telling people to take their vitamins right now. See, I haven't made £1 from ADPAC in 12 months, and I could have taken 10 grand to become an influencer, what they call community champions, to convince my brothers and sisters to take their vitamins, when it's something that, for me, in my personal choice, I'm diametrically opposed to. So how, if that doesn't align with my values, could I promote that to the wider family? My reliance personally has been from my people, and my desire was to align with colleagues whose only thought was to build an institution that appeals to our family. And then the key is on building out a wide enough membership to make it sustainable. So if it's a £5 a month membership, which entitles you to come to monthly meetings at Conway Hall and then experience certain of the educational programs from the distance learning platform Knowledge Finder, that's a fiver. You had your money's worth. But if we can build it into 100,000 strong organization nationally, that's half a ticket a month. Now that puts us in a position to be able to purchase commercial freeholds in each of the stronghold boroughs and counties where we are. So you're talking about Croydon, Lambeth, Southwark, Lewisham, Hackney, Haringey, Brent, Enfield, and now I've been informed by one of my brothers, Merton, and a recently departed from the police force brother wants to set up a chapter in Camden. So once we have a membership who are served within that, and I did put a link in the post about what an ADPAC chapter on the ground looks like. For the consumer, it looks like a Citizens Advice Bureau to signposted services. For the signposted services, the organizational membership, it looks like a CVS, which work with organizations who are in the voluntary sector to improve their robustness. So it might be ongoing training, it might be providing a mailing address, the facility to use the computer, the phone, to provide policy, all of those little things that organizations need in their embryonic stages or just in their unfunded ongoing concern of the organization so that we can get them up and running. But the key thing that ADPAC is getting criteria ready to do now is to be able to apply for public sector contracts. So public spending is 249 billion annually, and direct government spend is 49 billion annually, respectively. That's 298 billion UK pounds sterling that the government want to ring fence 10% of for so-called Black and Asian organizations. Now, ADPAC coming in as a contractor wants to get those big contracts, so-called Black at source. So they could be 1.2 million, they could be 700 grand. And then all of these organizations that we aggregate in businesses nationally, we insource the services to deliver those contracts. Now these businesses become sustainable. So when you've seen certain Black mayors, like in Atlanta, that gave X amount of percentage of an airport contract to African-American contractors, they were the first millionaires in Atlanta. So this is the game that we're talking about, using a vehicle that specifically and exclusively advocates on behalf of African Caribbeans and works in our interests to now meet with your vehicle in government, Quango, whoever you are. But the key is that we're meeting in parity as two entities, sovereign entities that respectively represent different ethnic groups, because we know that theirs don't represent us.
Would you say, Brother Dean, right? For example, we're focused on the UK, right? A lot of the African descendants will, for example, move to a different area.
Mm-hmm.
I understand we are all students of African political science, and we shouldn't reveal too much. It's very tricky because there's more unsynchronized Africans than synchronized. But if you could codify this for me, brother, would it be better if there was like a chief of one of the youths in each area?
Absolutely.
Be looked after with a reward to police the areas so that other non-African, so the territory is protected and we are looked after. Would you say a chief would be better with a reward with it?
Absolutely. And that reward is just straight economic payment for performing a role. So although I don't want to give away too much, there are powers that we can acquire within this country that give us very legitimate mandate to carry out that duty there. So when you look at people like bailiffs and sheriffs, anybody without a criminal background can become bailiffs and sheriffs within this land. Now, when we understand that, we will also bring those roles into our structures by putting our people within those trainings to gain those qualifications. And then as they come back, you aren't now speaking to any regular civilian. And I asked this question. I talk a lot about sovereignty, and we have a sovereign underwriter. And I was talking about this at a meeting. Somebody had got a piece of money to do research and create a report that was specifically for us. So me and a partner of mine went down to it. And I was speaking to one of his colleagues about sovereignty. Yeah, that doesn't work. And I said, relax. Number one, when you talk to me, don't dismiss me. And don't try and figure me out with psychology 101. And don't come to me with what you've learned on YouTube. Ask the key and pertinent question. If you run around Londinium with a 45, how long do you think you'd last as an individual? And he said, your Sky contract will get cancelled immediately. I said, exactly. I said, now let me ask you a different question. What would happen if 500 men moved around London with AR-15s? I said, it'd be a different conundrum, wouldn't it? So the key is that you're moving in a structured leadership with specific tools, such as the superhero cape of sovereignty, such as these tools like sheriffs, bailiffs, that we adopt structures of the land and start to use them to protect our own entities. So when I talk about is our vehicle now meeting your vehicle with parity, we're going to use all of the rules of your land. I speak with close personal protection officers who have a very specific training to protect high value, high economic value individuals. So if we know that we can have them, why don't we have them? It's because we're not putting all the dots together. And that's not to do with our lack of knowledge or ability. It's to do with the confidence of our thinking. Now, our reparations is the spiritual and psychological component that we deliver to ourselves. And when we rid ourselves, so I'm never too harsh on us, because we are the African subjects of a 500-year European Black experiment. So when I use the term Black, we are the Africans inside of a Black experiment where we're yet to bust the pen of the Black experiment based on our psychological conditioning to remain within the pen of the Black experiment. But the minute that you identify your sovereignty as a key and critical component as an African to move however the hell you want to move, then we bust the pen of the Black experiment.
Thank you, brother. Before we move on, let's say, I don't know if you can see, Brother Dean, I think the side of your window, there'll be like a comments, banners, bro. I think if you want to post your link in the sister Kushti,
you know what it is? The laptop that I'm actually using to watch the show is a Chromebook, and I can't do the bloody right click on the Chromebook. So I'm going to have to get up and get a mouse so that I can do the right click to save, to put the links in here.
Oh, yeah. To be honest with you, though,
30 seconds. I'm going to come off camera and I'm going to grab a mouse.
If you select what you want to do and you press Control and C, that's copy. That's shortcut for copy, right?
God bless. My missus told me and I forgot, and I'm too embarrassed to ask. Right. Control and C is copy.
Yeah. So select what you want.
Paste.
Yeah, and can paste is Control and V.
God bless. I'm putting the links in now.
Yeah. That's what usually. I mean, I use a Mac, but it's Control. Yeah, that is right. That is right. Yeah. Yes, Brother Kel.
Do we have time?
Go ahead.
Another thing as well. How do we campaign to the youth that they have no friends? It's a very, I believe, is very intricate situation, because everybody is entwined and you've got all this socialism. But what would be the best method to campaign to them that they have no friends?
Well, me personally, what I would be doing is collating a whole lot of. What I think, one thing that we could use to have someone there, we could use to highlight is the continuous infinite relooping of the same situations. So we can look at all the protests as a bookmark in history to show that the killing of black people, the economic, undermining and all that kind of stuff seems to be a continuous thing that keeps reoccurring, right? And we can use these as like a marketing video to share that these things keep repeating. And the reason they repeat is because, a lot of people have this kind of, integrational kind of solution-based strategy where if you fully integrate, then that's your solution. And obviously we have to show, case studies all over the world. America's always a good one to show that you had Black Wall Street, and then after integration, there was no ownership, very little. And then even showing that allegedly the bombing of the Black Wall Street, Little Africa as it was known, was allegedly by a European woman saying things about an African man, whatever, right? So, these stories. I mean, there's documentaries out there that do good jobs, but maybe getting funding for documentaries to do just that purpose, to highlight these things. And once again, when we talk about documentaries, production value is key, making sure the sharp resolution, the 300 DPI, and all that good stuff to make sure a good product is there that can be shared, and that can also be community based if we collectively want to come together. I think that could be very powerful. I think a lot of people from the past remember looked at the old what they call hidden column videos, and that was one way of how people got a certain kind of knowledge. So these kinds of things done for a purpose way to let people know that collectively Black people have no friends, and the greatest solution is amongst ourselves. This could be one particular tangible solution, but I'll let other people answer. But keep in mind that we are running over 12 now, so there you go, brother.
And it's got to be slow exposure. You got to have short messaging and frequent messaging. So in those little films, if you look at these videos, like the AJ, the little Al Jazeera videos, and the Now This videos, you will grab young people in storytelling, in telling 2 to 3 minute stories and just putting them out on a daily basis. Because what you're doing is you're affecting their subconscious mind. As Africans, when we can visualize the picture, we can adopt the concept. But if we can't articulate it in visualization, we won't adopt it. So slow exposure, short, consistent messaging with high production values. And we have the kit. HMP TV just bought brand new 4K cameras within the last 7 months. So everything is there. Now it's the sweat equity and putting it together to produce it.
Yeah, very good point there. Just saying back to Brother Emma and Sister Kushti, great contributors. Any last thoughts from Brother Kel and Brother Dean before we go on our last live broadcast from the channel? Now as you have the time, what would you like to say?
No, it was a very beneficial show, and I hope it continues. Well, it has in the past anyway. Was solution based. Definitely has to be campaigning to the liberation to help the youth to carry on this legendary war that we are in, unfortunately. So, ashe to the panel.
Sure.
And that's absolutely reciprocal, King. The key is that we are the bearers of solutions, but in terms of providing it on the ground now, we've had so much rhetoric over the years. And once everybody is clear that we are the African subjects of a 500-year Black project, the key is to get mad. But now don't just get angry and think that you're going to tear shit up or go in a different direction. We've got to go in the same direction. So it doesn't matter which one of 1,000 organizations you join. The key is that we move in the same direction to the same Jerusalem. Not all Yiddish people got on who moved towards establishing an Israel. The nature of the people you can see in the state and the oppression that is there. So you can imagine the internal conflicts, but the self-interest, which was aligned, worked by identifying the common denominators. So with us, we've always got to look for common denominators and building on them. Black Pound Day was so successful because it appealed to my direct critical thinking of how I feed my family. We're all Black businesses that want a pound note. Let's work with Black Pound Day. Very simple, right? But that also propelled Black Pound Day as an aggregate organization umbrella that represents black businesses. So that's the model. We just got to fall in line with our common interests because we all suffer the potential of a common fate.
Thank you very much, bro. Now, just before we have our last words from Empress Christie, I'll put this in the group as well. I'm now posting a lot of the links that brother Dean Okai has given. It's probably best to put it also in the profile afterwards. But let me just post it here so people see it, they can click and store and that good stuff. Copy and paste work. But last but by no means least, Empress Christie, would you like to give your thoughts before we go?
I agree a lot of what's been said in relation to that. I think that was a really powerful question that Brother Cal said, and I agree with all the points that Brother Dean made on that. I think the best way to get to the masses is just to keep it very clean, clarity and continuous, because we're continuously fed lies and stuff to feed us. It's not once. They need to continuously do it to keep us in the state of consciousness that most of us are in. So we need to use that same model to attack it back. And we tend to listen more to the benefits of what is beneficial for us. Our ears waken up, even if we're subconsciously not recognizing it. So I do agree with that. I'd just like to say this was a great start to the launch of the Betterment channel. And if this is anything to go by, I know they all just keep going from strength to strength. And I just want to say bless up to all of the brothers on the panel. It was a pleasure to be on the panel with you all.
God bless you.
Thank you. And I hope to be here again with you all soon.
Definitely. And I'd like to thank everyone who joined us on this first in the dedicated channel. And like I said, this channel is for the people. So by all means, recommendations, ideas, contributions, jumping on board, we're all welcome for it. We want to progress together. We definitely want to maintain the 4D values. So when we do communicate, it's respectful, because obviously we're going to have new ideas and new people. So let's see if we can get along and all that good stuff. I'm now posting the final one there, but I will post these. Let me copy these again. Keep coming. There you go. I'll copy these into my group and put it into the folder. But yeah, any ideas, keep it going. Just message us on this. But for the team and all that, let me copy that. Thank you very much, and hopefully you will tune in next week. So tell a friend to be here again. And yep, I think I've got all the links on that one. Comments. Yep, you post that in there. And until next week, everyone. Black Betterment, and yeah, let's do this thing. So thank you very much. See you guys.
Beautiful show.
There you go. End stream.